understanding this next question, where we have to subtract a certain expression from the other expression, let's use simple words for you to understand the concept. So subtract 4 from 6. Now basically all I'm asking you to do is say 6 minus 4 is equal to 2. So I took out the 4 from the 6, and that's exactly what's happening here. So the 6 went first. So in this case I must follow the same order, and I'll put the 2x plus 3y minus 1, okay, and then below that I'll put the minus 4x plus 8y plus 6. Now keeping into mind the rules of subtraction, we have to change the bottom signs and then we add. So let's change the bottom sign. This becomes a plus, okay, I circle it just to indicate that that's what I'm following now. This becomes a minus and this becomes a minus. So all I have to do is simple, is just add. So I have 2 plus 4 here is 6x. Here I have 3 minus 8. Now if you're not sure how to work this, you can punch this into your calculator. Put 3 minus 8 and it will give you an answer of minus 5. Alright? And then here I have minus and minus. Some children tend to not understand how to do this. Punch these two into the calculator and it will give you the answer, which is minus 7. And therefore this becomes my final answer. Okay, we have solved for x. So this is a equations question. So let's write down the question. Right, divided by 2 is equal to 5. Now in dealing with this here, my issue is I only want to be left with x on this side. But now we can see that the 2 is the one that's causing a bit of issue for the first part. So all I need to do is, this 2 is being divided. So all I need to do is multiply by 2 on both sides to get rid of that 2. So when I do this here, now remember the 3x plus 1 is a complete expression. It's one complete expression. That's why it's the entire expression being divided by 2. So I cancel those 2's, right? Those 2 will cancel off, and so I'll be left on this side with 3x plus 1, and on the other side it's 5 times 2, which is 10. Okay, now I need to make sure that the x stays on this side. So I say 3x is equal to 10, and remember now the 1 needs to go on the opposite side. Taking the 1 on the opposite side, I change the sign. So I'll be left with 3x is equal to 9. Now my issue is the 3 in front of the x. Anything in front of the x I have to divide by whatever is in front of the x. So I divide both sides by whatever is in front of the x. So 3 over 3 we know is 1. And so I just have to write down x, or we can say those 3 cancels off, right? They two cancel, those 3's on the top and the bottom cancel off, and then 9 divided by 3 is 3, and this becomes my final answer. Okay, in approaching this question here, we look at the meaning of the word mean, median, and mode, because most learners tend to forget this. So we have the word mean, right? We have the word median, and we have the word mode. Now keeping into mind that we look at the first 3 letters of these words. So if you look at the first 3 letters of these words, you find just the 3 letters in the front. This is the only one that has an A in it. So this reminds me that it's an average. The second one is the median. It is a closest sounding to middle. The middle or middle. And then this one has a O, which is often. Now I use this to remind my learners that it's a good way of teaching yourself how to remember this. In the exams under pressure, kids tend to mix up, especially the mean and the median. So remember that the average is to add up all and divide by the number of numbers. So adding these numbers above, and we'll keep in mind that there are 10 numbers, right? So we will divide by 10. So let's add these numbers up, which should be 9 plus 15 plus 9 plus 15 plus 17 plus 17 again plus 11 plus 18 plus 15 and plus 19. So adding these numbers up, and make sure that when you do this in the exams, that you always tend to double check, because in the exams, if you miss out one number, you're going to get the issue wrong, the question wrong, and you tend to losing easy marks. And then we'll divide by 10. Right, show your working. It's good practice to show your working. Equals to 145 divided by 10, and our answer will be 14,5. Now at no stage you must round this off unless indicated, but generally we don't round it off, we leave it in its decimal form. If DE is parallel to FG, then the value of X is, okay, in keeping in mind we need to indicate, sometimes your examiner will indicate the parallel lines, but it's important to read the information and to indicate this on your diagram. Now remember, there are rules that apply to parallel lines, that is the corresponding angles, the interior co-interior angles, the alternate angles, and you can use straight line as well, right? Because in this case you can see that there are three straight lines here, right? Vertically opposite is also used, vertically opposite angles. Okay, so let's use what we can yet to get the 150 closest to the X, right? Because we can see directly now the X is not equal to the 150 because it's on the other side. If the X was above the FG line, then we could just easily say corresponding angles, right? So there are two steps to this. So the first thing we will do, and remember when it comes to geometry you must show reasons. So we can call this angle maybe T, we can call it T, to tell the examiner that we are first going to work out that angle. So we can say T is equal to 150, and we'll say corresponding angles, right? And it's good practice to show which parallel lines you're dealing with, because sometimes there will be three parallel lines in a question, right? So we have DE is parallel to FG. It's good practice to do that. Okay, so we indicate on our diagram the 150 there, and we circle it because we've just worked out that, and we can use that information to carry on. Now if we notice this here, the X is lying on a straight line, right? So we can use a straight line rule. We'll say X is equal to 180 minus 150, right, is equal to 30, right? And remember our reasons, we say adjacent supplementary angles, right? And that's basically how you work out this example. A recipe for 20 rolls requires or needs 5 tablespoons of butter. How many tablespoons of butter are required or needed for 30 rolls? Now in this question we see that there is a comparison where the rolls are being compared to the amount of tablespoons that we are using. So we can clearly see that this is a ratio question. So we write down the two aspects they're speaking of in the ratio. So it's tablespoons and it's rolls. The next thing we will do is indicate as is in the story. We see that there is 20, and that 20 is using 5 tablespoons. Then we read further that there are 30 rolls, but they need to know how many tablespoons. Clearly we can see that this is a cross multiplication question. So we cross multiply, right, in order to work out the X. So cross multiplying will be 20 times X, which will be 20X is equal to, and 30 times 5 is 150, right? So we now need to get rid of the X, or should I say the 20, because this becomes a normal equation sum. So we divide both sides by 20, and we see that X is equal to, punching it in our calculator, it is 7.5, and this is our answer.